Starmer clearly wants to reset ties with the EU, almost moving us back to where we were pre-Brexit, and he'll move as slowly as he can, but sort of reset our relations to the point where we're almost back in the EU again.
To have done something quite softly, which I find it hard for anyone to criticise, really.
People in the UK reacting to the news that the British government and the EU have agreed a deal resetting relations. According to Prime Minister Keir Starmer, bills, jobs and borders are the pillars of the landmark deal. The new agreement would see a reduction in routine border checks on animal and plant products traded between the EU and UK. That's aimed at reducing costs and speeding up transit. The two sides have also established a joint defence and security pact that would boost joint military capabilities and coordinate support for Ukraine. The deal also sees a 12-year extension of a fishing deal granting EU boats access to UK waters. The two sides will also work closer on migration and carbon emissions, and there are plans to allow young people in Britain and the EU to live and work in each other's territories more easily. Well, Quentin Peel might tell us. He's an Associate Fellow with the Europe programme at Chatham House in London, from where he joins us now. Welcome back to DW, Quentin. The deal not completely done yet, but given what we do know of it, do you see it as significant?
Yes, I think it's really fundamentally very positive because it is a move to actually bring the two sides together and talk to each other in a thoroughly civilized manner. So it's opening up markets for the British that they had basically talked themselves out of with Brexit. But most importantly of all, I think, is this defence and security partnership, which will bring the two sides together in coordinating the very considerable increase in defence capacity that all Europeans, I think, are trying to build up in the light of the war in Ukraine. And it'll give the British some access to the money that's being raised by the rest of the European Union.
And you talk about this being an opportunity for the two sides to talk to each other in what you called a thoroughly civilised manner. That was missing before, was it, between Britain and the European Union?
It was really, yes, because the former Conservative government, particularly under Boris Johnson and so on, seemed to be constantly determined not to negotiate with the European Union as such. They wanted to have all their dealings just bilaterally with individual member states. And so they avoided as much as possible doing anything that really provided recognition to the European Union. Now, inevitably, this deal, because it does provide recognition to the European Union, has caused screams of rage from those who were very much in favour of Brexit. They've been accused of surrender, they've been accused of betrayal. So I fear that the old divisions over Brexit still linger on.
Let's talk about the opposition, because it will seem odd to people who are not in Britain that a successful deal with the biggest trading bloc in the world will be criticised by people within the country. Do the criticisms actually carry any water? Do they bear any weight?
Well, they get very well aired throughout the media, a lot of which is in Britain is pro-Brexit. And I think there's a lot of disappointment that Brexit hasn't produced many of the advantages that it was supposed to, of giving Britain back control of its borders and everything else. So the Conservative Party, now in opposition, and the Reform Party, very passionately in favour of Brexit, have both come out very much criticising particularly the fisheries deal here, which is in economic terms very marginal, but in political terms is really quite difficult to sell, because it will give European Union member states continuing access to British fishing waters for an extra 12 years.